Good afternoon and welcome to Picks and Parlays Radio here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network and also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you search Picks and Parlays, we're usually the first thing that pops up, so we're very easy to find. I am your host, Chelsa Messenger. You can find me on Twitter at Chelsa Messenger, and also I'm here every weekday, 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. Today is Thursday, September 26th, which means we do have football tonight, and you guessed it, we're going to be talking a lot about it. First segment, we've got NFL picks with Chirimbes, Chiefs, Lions, Jags, Broncos, and of course that Thursday night game, Packers, Eagles, where the Packers are favored by 4 at home. Total sits at 47. And some numbers in this one that I thought were interesting. Doug Peterson, the head coach of the Eagles, is 4-0 on Thursday nights. But you know what? The Packers this season are 3-0 and also 3-0 against the spread. So it just depends on which number you want to take there and believe. Followed by our college football sharp betting report with handicapper Joe Duffy. Where's the sharp money this week? What teams does the public like? And major line movements. What are some of the line movements we've seen on some of these games and what do they mean? Because if you're not an expert handicapper, sometimes you need this info decoded, and we've got you covered. And then finally, we've got our rapid fire college football picks where we go down the line with Tony T and Craig Trapp, and we give picks on a whole bunch of college football games, including some really interesting ones, including Ohio State, Notre Dame, Auburn, all the big dogs, a lot of top 25 teams in action this weekend, of course. And we do have some top 25 matchups. I do believe USC Washington, one of those, and a really interesting one in the Pac-12 that's been a little crazy this season. We'll see if UCLA can score some points again this week after scoring 67. Who would have guessed it? We've got a great show, lots of stuff to dive into. We're starting off with NFL, starting off hot with Chip Chirimbes. We're back after the break on Picks and Parlays Radio. Stick with us. We'll be back. Great show lined up, as I mentioned in our first segment, baseball and college football when we get back from the break on Picks and Parlays Radio.
Scotts feeds your lawn now to build strong, deep roots this winter and lush green grass next spring. Fall's the time to do it, and now's the time to save. Today is the day for Do It, with Labor Day savings on Scotts Turf Builder Winter Guard. 10% off now at the Home Depot. More saving, more Do It. Selection varies by store.
Do you owe $10,000 or more on at least 2 federal student loans? Then you may qualify for new programs offered by the Department of Education. These programs
Do you have the time or the ability? Maybe you picked up some skills or had a life experience that you want to pass on in the form of a book to help others. Maybe you want to leave an autobiography for your family. Or maybe you built a successful business and you want to share your story. At Dorrance Publishing Company, we have professional writers who can help turn your book idea into a finished manuscript quickly and affordably. A Dorrance ghostwriter can provide as much or as little help as you need to complete your book. You'll work directly with your ghostwriter to finish your book faster than you ever could on your own. It's easy to become a published author. Call Dorrance now to learn more. 800-485-6003. 800-485-6003. 800-485-6003. Call right now. That number is 800-485-6003.
Or go to Dell.com/semi-annual sale to enjoy huge limited time employee savings. That's 800 by Dell.
And welcome back to Picks and Parlays Radio on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network, and also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you search Picks and Parlays, we're really easy to find. I'm your host, Chelsa Messenger, and right now, let's dive in to some NFL with Chip Chirimbes, who is here with us in the studio. Hello, Chip.
How you doing, Chelsa?
Yeah, doing all right. And we've actually got football tonight. It's been a
great.
long week without football.
Well, Mondays and Thursdays, pretty soon we'll be having it on Wednesdays as well. But one of the opening games on Sunday, one of the more interesting games that two undefeated teams are playing.
Right. I guess you could call the Lions undefeated.
They are undefeated. They do have a push against, what was it opening day? Against the Arizona Cardinals.
It was the Cardinals.
Yeah,
it was a tie. What a way to start the season. So, just to frame this game a little bit, Kansas City Chiefs, Detroit Lions. Lions are dogs in this one by 6.5. Total sits at 55, just so people know what we're talking about.
You know, Chelsea, I've sat and said that this Detroit team is one of the worst coached teams in the NFL, and I'm looking to play against Patricia as much as I can. Last week, we had him as a big-time winner, and this week, all the heavy action on this game is coming on Kansas City. They are 3-0 straight up. They are 3-0 against the points. And I'm sitting here and I'm being a little quasi-scared about this Lion team because of their coaching. I mean, Matthew Stafford hasn't proved a winner against big clubs, against winning clubs. Chelsea, he's had a horrible record against teams with good records. Although they are 5-2 in their last 7 games. The Lions came on strong at the end of the year last year. I believe they beat Green Bay. It was 31-0 or 41-0 to close the season. But in their last 6 games, the Detroit Lions have gone over the total 6 straight times. Now we'll play the Kansas City side here because on the road you expect Mahomes to maybe be a little intimidated after having such a great year he had last year. And yet Kansas City is 8-2-1 against the points on the road. And they've been favored a number of these times, Chelsea. But that may not be the way to go on this one because they, as well as the Lions, played to the over. 16-5, Chelsea, the last 21 games on the road. 8-3 to the over, their last 11 overall. I have the definitive side on this, and if you can log on to the website, you'll have this winner on Sunday between Detroit and Kansas City. But I can tell you right now, if you want to play a game where you can sit back and relax, we call a rocking chair game, play the over on this contest. I don't know how you can do anything else, Chelsea. Kansas City just put points on the boards with Mahomes, and Detroit's the only way they can score is with the passing game with Matthew Stafford. So I see this game, Detroit 6-0 the last 6 overs. Kansas City 16-5 on the road to the overs. I think it's the way to go.
I'm not going to lie, I rolled my eyes a little bit when you said Patrick Mahomes was going to be intimidated on the road.
No, he's not.
I just don't see it.
No, he's not. They're 8-2-1, and you would think that a rookie going out on the road in the NFL might have a little shortcomings and might come up with a little problems, but he has played beyond that, and he puts points on the board.
He already has 10 touchdowns and 1,100 yards in 3 games.
And no interceptions.
And he has LaShawn McCoy, who's actually looking like the old Shady McCoy of old.
I'll tell you, that's certainly going to improve their running game and help their balance without a doubt, and I guess McCoy's real happy to be there.
Right. I would almost consider, I know you don't do halftime or half bets,
well,
but I can almost see Kansas City running out to a big lead in this one.
Might very well be, and you know, like a lot of teams do put up say fantasy points in the second half when they're trailing. You know, Arizona's done that really well this year with Kyler Murray being there, where they've dropped behind and fell behind, and then he put up a lot of passing yards in a meaningless situation, much as Jackson did against Kansas City, this club, last week when the Ravens were in Kansas City.
Right. All right, so you're taking the over in that one. And
I definitely play the over. I think that's the way to go, and if you want the definitive side of this one, I will have this as part of my overall Fab 5 on Sunday. Log on, follow the buy links, and become a big game winner.
All right, let's move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Denver Broncos. Broncos favored by 3 in this one because Probably it's at home, and the Broncos have one of the better home field advantages in all of the NFL. But the Jaguars, you know what? Their defense is really good. They sacked the Titans 9 times, and I think that's going to be an issue against Joe Flacco, who Tony T likes to call the statue. Well, not very mobile.
Well, the statue, believe it or not, in 3 games has had to throw for 775 yards. It's because the Denver Broncos no longer have a running game, and they certainly don't have a formidable defense anymore. They're only 3 points at home against a rookie quarterback. He's only Gardner Minshew, who we love here. You know that. He's thrown for almost 700 yards. But, you know, this Jacksonville team hasn't played well at all. In the last 15 games, they only have 4 wins against the point spread, though in the last 6 meetings at Denver, they've gone 5-1. But Joe Flacco is leading this Broncos squad, and I'll tell you, the Broncos need a win in the worst way, and they just surrendered one against Chicago a couple of weeks ago at home. They did get the money for us, but Denver needs a win in the worst way. They've only covered 4 of their last 14 at home. They're 8-20 against the AFC. And it just looks like Jacksonville's the better club here coming in as an underdog. They're 6-2 against Denver in the last 8 meetings. But, you know, Chelsa, I think there's intangibles that go on here. And I think playing in the Mile High City and Denver having posted a win as of yet, I give them the edge here. I think they're going to come up big. Although we said Jacksonville is 5-1 against the points in the last 6 meetings at Denver. I think that Denver needs this, and the home field finally is going to come into play.
All right, let's move on to tonight. The Eagles and the Packers. I got them at -3.5, but I think the number right now sits at -4 for the Packers playing at home against the Eagles. This Eagles team has not impressed very much this season, and I think a lot of that has had to do with their drops. They have 11 drops this season, so Carson Wentz can really put it in there, but if you don't catch the ball, that's an issue, and it doesn't really matter how good the Packers defense is if nobody can catch it.
No, you're absolutely right. They had 7 visible drops this past week in the loss to Detroit, and they also
in big situations too.
And they also had a defensive touchdown return called back because of a penalty, and they had an offensive touchdown called back because of a penalty. So Philadelphia just hasn't put it together as of yet. They're allowing over 300 yards a game passing. And even though I have posted a side in this game, and it's on the website right now, and you can log on to Preferred Picks and get it, Philadelphia needs this game in the worst way on the road. They're coming in 1-2. They won their opener, and they seem to play up to their competition, Chelsea. So they're 4-0 against teams with winning records on the road. But Philadelphia is so banged up, Chelsea. They are so hurt. They had to cancel practice one day this week because they couldn't actually get enough players out onto the field. Now, this Green Bay team has just turned things around this year. They're 3-0, but they haven't done it with Aaron Rodgers. They've done it through their ground game. They're only averaging 19.3 points a game, but they are allowing 100 less yards passing defense than are the Eagles. And the last 5 times these teams have met, the Eagles have actually gotten the money 4 of the times. And Green Bay, you know, coming off of last year, they've really struggled, Chelsea, against the NFC. 5-11-1 in the last 17 against the NFC. And that's not a recipe for collecting money, but they are at home here, and they've been doing it with defense. Philadelphia's having trouble moving the ball. Chelsea, I think this game stays under the total, and I think it stays under easily on Thursday night.
All right, let's play a little game. It's called Pick the Stat That You Like Better. Doug Peterson, 4-0 on Thursday Night Football, but the Packers are 3-0 and 3-0 against the spread this season. Which stat do you like and why?
Well, I would have to say I'd probably like the coaching stat. More as opposed to the smaller sample with Green Bay this year. Very, very fortunate, and they are 3-0, and I think they've surprised a few people, and they may surprise some people tonight. They are favored over Philadelphia, and being 3-0 at this time, that's a smaller sample. Being 4-0 in that situation over, it'd have to be 4 different years, I would imagine.
Even though you look at the Eagles this season and they have not performed the way everybody thought that they would.
Very disappointing so far, and particularly against Detroit, where they were, prohibitive favorite.
That was a tough one to watch if you're an Eagles fan.
But you know what else happened there, Chelsea, is that number on that game, which opened 6.5. The Vegas odds makers and the wise guys and everybody knew what was happening, and that line closed down at 4 even because of the injuries that had happened to the Eagles last week, and the players that are playing that are hurt, that are hobbled out there, and that doesn't help you much either. But they're coming up. They're going to show up on Thursday night, that's for sure. And I'm looking for a great game between these two clubs.
Just a couple injury notes. Alshon Jeffrey will play, but Deshaun Jackson is out. So 2 receiver updates for you guys, even though the problem has been the other receivers. And poor Aguilar got dragged on Twitter by some guy in a fire. Did you see that?
No, I did not. But missing Deshaun Jackson is certainly
yeah, and he's a big play guy too.
Yeah, he is their big play guy.
Right. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see it tonight. Also visit the website for some of his key plays.
Yes.
And as always, thanks for joining us, Chip.
Yes, Chelsea, it's been great. It's always a pleasure, and I hope to see you again tomorrow when we'll be doing college and NFL football as well.
Football, football, football. And you guessed it, we've got more football after the break on Picks and Parlays Radio. Stick with us.
On their net 30, 60, or 90-day invoices? Can't get a business loan? Have no equity? Bad credit? Or maybe no credit at all? Then you need to call AmeriFactors right now. AmeriFactors will give you cash for your invoices and there's nothing to pay back. We simply buy your account receivables, and if those clients don't pay on the invoices, we take the loss. We give you funds based on your account receivables, not your credit. And 98% of all applicants are approved. It's that simple. With AmeriFactors, there's no more waiting for your customers to pay. We give you the funds up front, then we wait for your customers to pay us. Fund your business today. Call AmeriFactors right now.
800-847-1183. 800-847-1183. 800-847-1183. That's 800-847-1183.
Imagine this is your money and someone wants to take it from you. Who is it? The IRS. They want your money, and guess what? They can legally take it, all of it if they want. Remember, they sent you that letter that said, hey, you owe us a bunch of cash and we're going to take it from you. So what do? Fight back by letting our team of experts at the tax helpline work it out with the IRS so you can keep your money. And we're good at what we do. When you hire us, you get a team of guys on your side that know the IRS laws and will fight to save your money. So, if you owe the IRS a ton of cash and you want to keep it, call right now and learn for free how we can help you put it back in your pocket.
800-932-1749. 800-932-1749. 800-932-1749. That's 800-932-1749.
Are you an active stock market investor? Well, then you know these 3 key words: buy, sell, hold. Those 3 magic words can make or lose you money in the stock market. What if we can show you a time-tested tool that's been helping stock market investors succeed for over 30 years? It's called VectorVest, an amazing system designed to make smart investing easy. The VectorVest system analyzes, sorts, and ranks over 19,000 stocks every day and tells you when to buy, what to buy, and when to sell any stock to maximize your profits in less than 10 minutes a day. And if you call right now, you can test drive our amazing VectorVest system risk-free for 30 days for just $9.95.
800-584-2519. 800-584-2519. 800-584-2519. That's 800-584-2519.
Welcome back to Picks and Parlays Radio here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network and also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I am your host, Chelsa Messenger, on this Thursday afternoon. And right now we've got handicapper Joe Duffy joining us. Hello, Joe.
How you doing, Chelsea? Coming off a great weekend in the NFL, and I'm very happy for you. You're going to have a little girl, and you said you're basically going to raise her to be just like my daughter is.
I know. It's because all of these feminine traits that we like to pin on girls, you know, I'm not a huge fan of them. I bet on sports. I played sports. I was a college athlete, and I don't paint my nails. So.
And as soon as I'm done talking to you, I'm going to go to her softball game. So, you know, that's the way she is.
Right. I played softball in high school. I was a pitcher. So fun stuff. All right, so let's get to the brass tacks. Let's get down to our college football sharp betting report, because that's why we brought you on, because you're always full of good info. Let's start off with the public consensus. What are the teams that everybody is liking this week?
Yeah, and Chelsea, I always like to explain the first category is who the public is betting on based on the percentage of bets. A $5 bet would count the same as a $5,000 bet, and some people may say, why? Well, that's because people who believe in contrarian information, betting against the public, they think the most valuable information is who is the $10 better and the $20 betting on. But anyway, the biggest plays in terms of percentage, Fresno State, Clemson, no surprise there, SMU, then Northwestern over, and Hawaii over the total.
So just on those 4 teams or 5 teams, I didn't count, what do you take from that information? Is that a piece of the puzzle, or do you bet on that exclusively, or is it just something to consider?
Yeah, like I said, in previous years, I used to weigh it much more heavily. Now it's more corroborating information. And the truth is, when I do use contrarian information, it's more on a weighted scale where I know the public loves to bet favorites. So really, when the public is betting an underdog, and I know elsewhere they say bet against the trendy underdogs, I agree with that. So it not only depends on the percentage, but what the spread is, because you know the public's going to tend to bet more on a big favorite. When they're betting on an underdog, which is not quite as common, that's really when I take note, and that's usually when you want to bet against them.
All right, so where's the big money this week? Have we seen any large bets? And where's the big bets? You talked about some people betting the $5 and $10 bets. What about the opposite of that? Where are the big money going this week?
Yeah, Chelsea, and this, if you agree with these picks, a general rule of thumb would be to bet them now because the line's probably going to move in the direction where the big money is. If you disagree with these, maybe wait a little bit because you're probably going to get a better line. But Louisiana, Lafayette, and this is in terms of the percentage of money. Coastal Carolina, Minnesota, of course, we're talking about University of Minnesota, Southern Miss, Akron, and Central Florida.
Okay, so now let's talk about sharp versus square. First of all, kind of give us an insight why sharp versus square matters, and then what teams the sharp and square money is on this week.
Well, a lot of people say, look, you want to pit the big money against the square player, the guy who's only betting the $10. And based on those metrics, the sharp versus square would be on Minnesota, again, Minnesota Gophers, that is, Southern Miss, Coastal Carolina. And by the way, the NFL version of this report will be on the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel. So those of you who are listening on the radio, you finally get to see my boyish look. So make sure for the NFL version, you check out the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel.
All right. Well, have we seen any big line movements this week in college football?
A little bit less than usual, and the first one is with an obvious explanation. Houston opened up as a 2.5-point favorite to North Texas, but they're now getting 6 points. But again, that was the result of Houston with their bizarre announcement that a couple of their key players are going to redshirt so they can return next year. So that was bizarre. But Utah State went from 20.5 over Colorado State. They open up and they're now a 23.5-point favorite. And they're really the big line moves this week, less than usual in college football.
Right. I think that Houston one is because De'Aaron King, their quarterback, like you mentioned, I think he's the one that's redshirting or he's hurt. Bottom line, he's not playing.
Yeah,
all
that
right.
was definitely a result. Yeah.
So let's talk about some of these games. Let's get to Arizona State and Cal, where Cal is favored -4.5. Total sits at 42. What are you seeing in this one?
Yeah, and a version of my bubble burst does apply here where teams that are off of at least 3 wins, they have at least 3 wins and off of their first loss of the year, usually a good go against to the rate of 480, 386, and 16. And that would say to go with California or to fade Arizona State. Arizona State with their true freshman quarterback, Jaden Daniels, and 2 true freshman offensive linemen. They're a work in progress. They did allow 10 sacks in the first 3 weeks, and they improved greatly. Only one last week, but still, you got to expect some inconsistency from a freshman-laden team. And the fact that they're off of a pretty good effort, you know, you could see how they could be in for a letdown, especially that they did have their bubble burst. So California is the play here.
Both of these teams have a quality win, per se, Arizona State over Michigan State, even though I think Arizona State, you know, they got lucky. Michigan State had too many people on the field and lost it that way. And then Cal had that big win over Washington. So both these teams have capabilities of winning big games. Who do you see in this one based on that, I suppose?
Well, I want to say this. I was one of the few people who liked the Herm Edwards hiring. I think, somebody who's a rah-rah type coach, I can see how he's turned this program around. It didn't really surprise me. But like I said, Chelsea, I don't think it's just so much off of the quality wins. My handicapping here is, as I said, once a team, the higher basically my bubble burst theory is the higher they go, the harder they're going to fall. So the fact that California is, Arizona State's off of the lost is really why I like California more than any quality wins.
Right. I see this game as being one that might not be very fun to watch. Both of these teams are averaging less than 4 yards per carry in the run game. And it's tempting to look at the total, 42, which is really low. But both these teams thrive on defense. Would you look at this total?
Yeah, and it's interesting that Arizona State is off of a 65-point game after 3 straight low-scoring games. I do have a system. Perfect. Thank you, Chelsea. I do have a system that essentially it compares the current total to previous totals. We use the odds makers' knowledge against them, and it goes under at a 373, 246, and 15 rate. So, yeah, I would definitely strongly look at the total as well.
All right, let's go to another game, Texas Tech and Oklahoma. Oklahoma favored big in this one, minus 27, where the total sits at 71, which is a huge number. And obviously, Oklahoma can score points in bunches. Their offense is really proficient. Texas Tech, I thought about taking them at plus 27. It looks juicy, but Texas Tech has not looked good this year.
Yeah, and one of the biggest changes where the computer says software gets better. I'm a dog player by nature. I don't like laying the wood, but I got to go with the facts. And as I keep saying, college football is the one sport where I do often bet big favorites. Oklahoma, they're averaging a ridiculous 10.9 yards per play. And going with big favorites that average 7 or more yards per play in week 4 or later are 120, 67, and 4. And it used to be, this system has cooled down a little bit. This used to be one where I know a bunch of sharps basically had the same system and would bet it all the time. Now it's been about 52% over the last 3 years or so. The big favorites off of the bye week are a great play, still 85 and 43. Big favorites in a game that's expected to be high scoring, also a good play, 160, 108, and 12. And look, we know about Jalen Hurts. You could see how Jalen, to get that Heisman, it would be nice to put up the big numbers there. Oklahoma's 3 deep at wide receiver. Big mismatch, but again, with Jalen Hurts, you can see how Oklahoma has the motivation to kind of, keep him in there and run it up. So as much as by nature, I'm not a chalk guy, I'm going to go with Oklahoma laying the 27.
All right, I have a question for you. This is something that I've talked with the other handicappers. Do you think watching the games almost gives you a bias that you can't shake when you're betting on some of these teams? Because I know some handicappers don't even watch the games.
No, look, there are some guys out there whose opinions I enormously respect. I call them organic handicappers, where they watch the games and they know the strengths and weaknesses of each team. So I think for the organic handicappers, it's much more important to watch the game. But I also do find one of the biggest mistakes that some of the organic handicappers make, they always look like for big height advantages at wide receiver. They look at the height of one team's wide receivers and then the height of the defense. So when they see mismatches, I think they tend to overplay that. So I think it depends on what type of handicapper you are. Like I said, I consider myself an advanced analytics guy, but the more organic handicappers, and there are some guys that I trust that I know they watch these games religiously. So it kind of varies, but no, it doesn't any bias I have goes out the window once I sit in front of that computer.
All I can think of when you say organic handicappers is people shopping at Whole Foods for their snacks for when they bet on these games.
Yeah, that is my term. That's the kind of a term that I use, but I think it's more of an old-fashioned, an old-fashioned handicapper where way back in the day before we had these computers, guys would look at the strengths of one team, the weaknesses of another team, and go with it there. But then again, that's one of the reasons why the public loves to bet favorites so much, because the favorites are always going to have an advantage over the underdogs when you analyze the strengths. So I don't know, Chelsea, you can come up with a better term. I'm all ears if you want to come up with a better term, but that's kind of a term that I like to use.
Right. It's used so much these days, and farm to table and everything like that. So
Well,
I
you're
just
talking,
roll
you know,
my
on the
eyes
side,
sometimes.
on the side, I'm a restaurant critic. I do some moonlighting there, so I know all about that. By the way, Chelsea, I got 5 NFL this weekend, including my interconference dog of the year, 7 college football Saturday. Tonight, the NFL total, like I said, I'm red hot in the NFL. I got tomorrow some college football. Tonight, I have 2 college football as well. So just visit picksandparlays.net. I got a humongous weekend off of the big weekend.
Right. I was going to say you did especially well last weekend, so that's a good selling point for picking your picks this week.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm proud of my long-term record, but I know a lot of handicappers want to know who's hot. So I've got both of those, and I feel really strong about even tonight's portfolio and all the way through Monday, in fact.
All right, good stuff from Joe. As always, after the break, more football on Picks and Parlays Radio.
Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts, where you can earn bonus points on more than 250 offers. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store today or browse through our offers at O'ReillyAuto.com, where you can earn double points shopping online. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. At 28, I had struggled with opiate and meth addiction for 12 years. I did and said things that the sober me never would have done. One day I realized I was not invincible. I was not exempt. And that's when a friend told me about elite rehab placement. They gave me the tools I needed to get sober, and all it took was the one phone call.
Elite Rehab can help you start to break your addiction problem and get sober in as little as 7 days. And we'll work with your insurance provider to help cover the costs. Plus, we have travel assistance programs to get you here by plane or train. Make this free call right now to learn more. 800-403-5912. 800-403-5912. 800-403-5912. That's 800-403-5912.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1780. 855-325-1780. That's 855-325-1780.
Hey.
Hey, Bench. What are you doing?
I'm rubbing my blue emu on.
Were you ready to go fishing?
Fishing?
You said we were going fishing this morning.
I have 10 Gold Glove awards.
Here we go again.
Johnny Bench doesn't go fishing.
Yeah, I know.
Johnny Bench goes catching. Blue Emu supports healthy muscles and joints.
And we're back on Picks and Parlays Radio here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network, and also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you search Picks and Parlays, we're usually the first thing that pops up. I'm your host, Chelsa Messenger. You can find me on Twitter at Chelsa Messenger. Right now, let's get to some college football rapid fire picks, because we've got a whole lot of football games this weekend, and we want to cover a lot of them. We've got Craig Trapp and Tony T joining us here in Las Vegas. Guys, we got some winners dialed up.
We certainly do, Chelsea.
Better. I got to pick it up after last week, Tony carrying me. So.
Oh, no.
Yes. But week 5 is like the turning week, because this is when you start to get the conference play. So going to be an exciting week.
Right, and it's not a small sample size anymore, so
No.
you don't have any excuses. All right, so let's start with Rutgers and Michigan. Michigan is favored in this one, minus 28. That's a big spread to cover. Michigan is 2-0 and 0-2 against the spread, so not a good team to bet on so far this season. Rutgers is 1-2, 1-2 against the spread. And do we think that Michigan takes out their frustration on Rutgers after that big loss to Wisconsin?
You know,
Tony.
Chelsa, yes, I believe they will. We see the line here, Wolverines minus 28, total 49. I'm going to go ahead and lay the points with Michigan. They need a response after that spanking they took to Wisconsin last week. And look, as we talked about yesterday, there's still a path for Michigan to redeem their season. You know, Wisconsin on the other side of the bracket in the Big Ten race, they can still get to the Big Ten title game. So their destiny's still in their hands. And of course, Shea Patterson can put up big numbers against an opponent like Rutgers, who they've dominated the past several seasons.
Well, I think this one, I like Michigan in this one at 27.5 as well, but I think the stronger play is the over. In fact, the last 5 years, these two have played 5 straight over games, and I think Michigan could go over by themselves this week. I don't think you're going to see any calling off the dogs in this one. Jim Harbaugh needs an impressive win. I think Rutgers probably gets 10 points, and I think Michigan gets 40+ in this one. So I think the over 48 is a very strong play as Michigan bounces back in a big way as Jim Harbaugh, maybe critics, at least silenced for 1 week.
Right, and I'm sure they'd like to get that offense going, and this might be a good time to do it against Rutgers, a less solid opponent, I would say.
Doormat, let's call it doormat.
All right, let's move on to number 18, Virginia, at number 10, Notre Dame, a big top 25 matchup here, even though Notre Dame is favored in this one, I believe. I don't have a number. What's the number, guys?
I've got Notre Dame favored 12.5, total 48.5 Chelsa, and I like this game a lot, so much that it's my best play from Saturday's college football. You can find it over at picksandparlays.net, up right now on the expert side.
Well, I think this one comes down to how does Notre Dame bounce back, because they played so impressive. I mean, Notre Dame fans were so busy patting themselves on the back, patting the team on the back. I mean, moral victories. I never thought I'd see the day where a powerhouse like a Notre Dame, historic powerhouse that is, would pat themselves on the back. But that can have a holdover effect the next week against a Virginia team that, I won't say this is their Super Bowl, but if they win this game this year, I think this team is going to have a very solid season ahead. I like the under 50.5 as the best play because I think both defenses will be up to the task here. But I think Notre Dame could be in trouble here. I think Virginia easily covers this one, and I would maybe sprinkle a little money line in this one because it'll be pretty juicy as an underdog, as Virginia, of course, not a public team.
I don't think I agree with a money line pick, just because I thought Notre Dame actually looked pretty decent against Georgia. They held their run game. I think that was a conservative game play by Georgia, trying to wear down their line. But
well, this isn't about who's better. This is about, college kids have letdown spots. This is the ultimate letdown spot for Virginia because they gave Georgia such a good game on the road.
You mean Notre Dame?
Notre Dame gave Georgia such a good game on the road. Now they come back home. Easy to let down when you come back home. I think Virginia is really good this year. I think they're the one team out of the ACC outside of Clemson that has a shot to do something this year and really make some noise. I like Virginia here to cover. I think the better play is the under here at 50.5, but I'm definitely going to have this in some money line underdog parlays that I have.
All right, let's move on to some Pac-12 action. Number 21, USC facing number 17, Washington at Washington, who's been really good at home in previous seasons. Washington is favored in this one -10, at least when we did it the other day. Total sits at 59.5. Tony, who do you like in this one?
All right, let's update the lines here as we look here. Washington now up 10.5 point favorite, total up to 61. And I'm going to take the points with USC plus 10.5. There's some parity in the Pac-12. I always like watching this Pac-12 conference race because the teams really gear up to try to get in that Rose Bowl because it's such a prestigious bowl to get in. And USC's a little undecided yet on their quarterback, but still it's a plug-and-play system in the air raid offense. And, of course, they're completing 75% of their passes. Really good receivers there. We saw Washington put up a stinker against Cal at home. And I think USC can generate enough offense here to get the money here. Plus 10.5 is a lot of points. The back door can also be open here. And I'm looking here at USC plus the points.
Well, this is my Pac-12 game of the week. Get it over at picksandparlays.net. As far as the side, that's my Pac-12 game of the week. But if I was going on this game as far as a free play, I would be looking at the under here. I just think it's a little too many points. I think USC got a little lucky last week with some of those what we would call jump ball passes that were just thrown up for grabs. Utah's defense was playing. I don't know what they were doing, to be very honest. Terrible defense in the secondary. I think Washington's secondary is a little better. So I think the under here is a solid play. But my top play is going to be on the side as my Pac-12 game of the week.
I think what you mentioned about the receivers just getting those jump balls, that's why I'd be nervous to lay the points with the favorite here, because USC can come in and, cover the points at the end because they can score in a hurry. But
they do have a big Pac-12, it's a coaching conference. I love coaches that are really good. Chris Peterson, probably one of my favorite coaches to bet off historically. A lot of that goes back to the Boise days. But Clay Helton had a huge win last week, but he needs a follow-up to that. So that'll be the interesting matchup as far as a coaching matchup there.
All right, let's move on to the SEC. Mississippi State at number 7. Auburn. Auburn favored in this one, minus 10.5. Total sits at 46.5. Craig, Tony, who are you liking this one?
Well, we see a little line movement here now. It's Auburn minus 10, total 47. So there's been a little money on the underdog here. But I like the favorite, Auburn minus 10. The Tigers have pulled off impressive wins to Oregon, and that Texas A&M win on the road was impressive with their physical style of play there. Mississippi State, I think, a little tad down this year. They lost a lot of their pieces on defense, and of course, the question marks are at quarterback. Tommy Stevens, they're not sure if he's ready. The backup is banged up. So Mississippi State quarterback situation right now in limbo. And we see defensively they're giving up over 357 yards a game. That's Mississippi State. Even at Kansas State put up 31 on them. I'm going to go ahead and lay it here with Auburn.
It's also a revenge game here. Remember, last year Mississippi State won 23-9 at Mississippi State. Of course, that one was.
With the cowbells.
Yeah, this is a tough spread here. That double digits in SEC play, even if you're the home team, is pretty tough. I think I'm going to go against Tony here with Mississippi State getting double digits. Not that they're very good, like Tony said, had a lot of players they had to replace off last year. I don't think they got to there yet. They're playing a lot of young guys at those spots. But I just think Auburn's in a letdown spot a little bit here. I think Auburn wins, kind of like a lazy win, that 7-8. And if you can get this number at 11 back where it was when we covered this game earlier in the week, that would be a much stronger play. But at least if you get it at 10, I think you take Mississippi State and the points in an ugly matchup, which I think it says that. The total set at 47.
Ugly matchup?
Well, when you see a total of 47.5, they're not expecting a lot of points here.
Well, I think that's because Auburn's defense is really good, especially against the run. I think they're only allowing 89 yards per game when it comes to the run offenses that they're playing. So I think it's more of a testament to their defenses.
What would be interesting if Auburn lost that opening game, what this line would be, because that was like a premier game where a lot of people, that might be the only time they've got to see Auburn play this year. So the public is definitely on Auburn with that huge come from behind win. So
well, and they just beat Texas A&M.
Right. Those were their two. Yeah, those are great wins. I just think this is a letdown spot after a huge win at Texas A&M last week, and then, like I said, a come from behind win to open the year as well.
All right, staying in the SEC, Kentucky, South Carolina. South Carolina favored in this one by 3. Total sits at 53. And interesting side note, UK has won the past 5 meetings between these two teams. Do we think South Carolina finally gets over the hill? Tony?
Yeah, I'm going to go with South Carolina here minus a 3. There's some quarterback issues here with Kentucky. Of course, they lost their starter, Terry Wilson, for the season. Sawyer Smith dealing with an injury, but he was cleared to play, so you got to worry about that Kentucky offense here. They've only averaged 17 points a game over their past 2 contests. South Carolina, a little better offense here, moving the football for 443 yards a game, but they're averaging over 6 yards a carry on the ground. I like that a lot. I'm going to go ahead and lay it here with South Carolina.
Well, this is what I call the yuck game of the week, because of the games we're covering, this one is going to be ugly. I don't think either team's very good. Missouri beat this South Carolina team 35-14 last week. I don't really know how good Missouri is. And Kentucky with the backup quarterback here.
Yeah, they're both playing with backup quarterbacks.
To me, that's just, I don't know. I'm taking the points, not because I love this game, because Kentucky historically has done a little better in recent years. Like you said, 5 straight years of winning this matchup, which Kentucky doesn't have a 5-year winning streak versus many teams in the SEC ever. So to me, I think Kentucky's had their number. I'm going to take the points in Kentucky. I could see even the points matter at 2.5, 3 points. I could see where this ends at 1 or 2. It's just such an ugly game. Low scoring. Total set at 50. Under is definitely a play for me as well.
I'm interested to see how Ryan Helinski fares in this one, because we saw him against Alabama and he actually looked pretty decent. He got SEC Freshman of the Week honors in that game, but then he played against Missouri on the road and didn't look nearly as good in that one. But this one is back at home, so I'm wondering if he looks a little better for South Carolina. Moving on to UCLA, Arizona. Arizona favored in this one, -6.5. Total sits at 71. That is a big number. Tony T, how are you feeling on this one?
Well, I have to look here at the underdog here. UCLA, I see here +6.5. It's really tough to lay points with Arizona. Their defense has just been atrocious here the past couple seasons, past several seasons. Even Rich Rod was there. They've given up over 40 points a game in 4 of their past 5. And that's with even an FCS opponent. Northern Arizona put up over 40 on them. We saw UCLA wake up in that game against Washington State. They'll carry some momentum here in this game against Arizona. But again, based on Arizona's defense, I just cannot lay points with them. I'll take UCLA +6.5.
Well, as bad as that defense was, they did win. They did beat Texas Tech 28-14, which I could not believe they held Texas Tech to 14 points. I thought for sure that one was going to be a shootout. And this one kind of looks the same way, but I just can't see them holding 2 teams down in a row. I like the over this one. I know it's high, but it's high for a reason. Last year, 31-30. The year before, 47-30. The year before, 45-24. I mean, these two play a lot of high-scoring games. UCLA defense has been so bad this year. I think the over here, and I don't believe in this UCLA team, so I can't play the side, although I do think, like Tony said, hard to lay more than a touchdown or a touchdown with against Arizona, which is not very good on defense.
I think I'd almost go against you and say the under on UCLA, just because if you take out last game, their offense has been terrible. Granted, their defense not that great either, but I think the line is sometimes overcompensating for last week's game. 67-63?
Well, remember when they played Cincinnati in the opening Thursday game? They moved the ball a lot more than what they saw the points. I think they scored 14 points in that game. They probably should have had 28. They had 2 turnovers down in the red zone.
Arizona gave 41 points to Northern Arizona. That's all you
need. Just wanted to throw that in.
That's all you need to think.
But I'm saying for an offensive genius, Chip Kelly's offense has not looked good this year. So I'm wondering if they can score enough, because 71, that's a high number.
Well, but you got to get both teams got to get 35, basically.
Yeah, and Arizona is not a resistant defense. I will say in that Texas Tech game, that's when Bowman got hurt too. So
yeah, they didn't have their quarterback for most of the second half. I think this one is one of those, they're begging you to take the over. So usually that means I do take the under, but not this time.
All right, we've got, 1 minute left. Ohio State, Nebraska, just enough time to cover this one. Ohio State favored big in this one. -17.5 is the line that I had earlier this week. It could have changed. Total at 67. Guys, picks on this one.
All right, I got Ohio State has come down to 17. I'm going to lay 17 until Ohio State doesn't cover. I mean, Nebraska's defense gave 38 to Illinois last week, and of course they give a lot of points to Colorado in that contest. Buckeyes' speed, they're generating over 500 yards of offense. Lay the points here with Ohio State.
I agree with Tony. I mean, I hate Ohio State. I live in Ohio. I live in Cincinnati. I don't like Ohio State, but that's how good Ohio State is. Justin Fields puts on another Heisman winning type performance. Lay the 17.5, 17, 18, 19. Ohio State wins big.
Right. They've been one of the most impressive teams in college football so far this season.
Absolutely.
All right, that's our college football rapid fire picks. We're back after the break on Picks and Parlays Radio.
For less than $3. We'll do the math for you. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. Want more? We'll give you 40 blue pills or 40 yellow pills for $99 and add 4 more pills free. You save more than $500. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what to do next. You need to call and get your 44 pills for just $99. Stop overpaying for the other blue pills. Call us and start saving a ton of money for the exact same results. Ordering is fast and easy with your pills delivered to your door in a non-marked package. 800-223-0992. 800-223-0992. 800-223-0992. That's 800-223-0992.
Not too long ago, it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank, didn't it? For a vacation or a new car. But today, withdrawing your own cash has become risky. Pat Boone here for Swiss America. According to The Secret War, a new Swiss America white paper, I learned that all banks are now required to spy on you and me for the government, and then report any financial behavior deemed suspicious or unusual. You must read The Secret War. It's free. Truth is, I believe the government's new war against cash is really a war against us all. But the secret is now out. So please, get and read The Secret War.
Pick up your phone and call right now. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. Once again, that's 800-932-5517.
Money Now 100 is not a lender, broker, or agent of any lender or financial advisor. We do not make loans or credit decisions. You must be 18 years or older and a U.S. resident to qualify. This is not an offer or solicitation to lend. I went to MoneyNow100.com and got the $5,000 I needed deposited in my account the next business day. If you need money for any reason, help is here. Go to MoneyNow100.com and get the money you need. Need to pay off credit card debt? Go to MoneyNow100.com. Need your car repaired? Need home improvement money? Visit MoneyNow100.com. If you need fast cash for any reason, go to MoneyNow100.com. Good, bad, or no credit at all. Go to MoneyNow100.com. You could get up to $5,000 as soon as the next business day. Go to MoneyNow100.com on your phone, tablet, or computer. Type in the address bar MoneyNow100.com. That's MoneyNow, the number 100.com.
Welcome back to Picks and Parlays Radio here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network and also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I am your host, Chelsa Messenger. You can find me on Twitter at Chelsa Messenger is my handle. It's just my name. And we've had a very animated and lively discussion about college football and NFL today on Picks and Parlays. And in case you weren't paying attention, don't worry. We've got you covered, or you're just tuning in. We're about to recap all of our picks from today's show, starting with Chip Chirimbes, who came in and gave us some picks on the NFL. Kansas City at Detroit, taking the over 54.5. Jacksonville at Denver, taking the Broncos -3. And tonight's game, Philadelphia at Green Bay, taking the under 46.5. I'm assuming, not 46.6, but. And just so you know, Chip has been 10-4 in his last 14. Yeah, he's doing pretty good. Moving on to our college football picks, I believe, with Joe Duffy, who also gave us a nice little report on the sharp money in some of these games. Arizona State at Cal, taking Cal -4.5. Texas Tech at Oklahoma, taking Oklahoma to cover that big spread, -27. And finally, our college football rapid fire picks, USC at Washington, picking USC +10.5 for Tony T. Kentucky, South Carolina -3. UCLA at Arizona, taking the Bruins, UCLA +6.5. And Virginia, Notre Dame is Tony T's top play. You can find it at picksandparlays.net. Moving on to Craig Trapp's college football picks. Rutgers at Michigan, taking the over 48. UVA at Notre Dame, under 15.5. And Ohio State, -17.5 at Nebraska, taking Ohio State in that one. And his Pac-12 game of the week, USC at Washington. You can find that at picksandparlays.net, along with a lot of useful info and analysis. Also, head to our YouTube page if you missed any of the games from this week. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place, on Picks and Parlays Radio. See you tomorrow.